Hey, it's Tuesday tea time with Dorarena, and I want to welcome all those that are first time viewers and those that may be watching the replay. Yay, I showed up. Some of you already know, sometimes this is how it goes sometimes. So we just coming in a little late today, but we are here. How about that? Okay, so we are presented from Women of Wisdom. We are a nonprofit organization here to bridge that generational gap between the younger and the older generation so that we can pass on vital knowledge to one another and to the next generation for the benefit of all generations. We are empowering with practical wisdom and confidence. And like I said last week, my saying is we are transforming lives from caterpillar to butterflies. How about that? Yay! And so, I like to share with you my tea. So I'm excited. Oh my goodness. Let me share with you what my husband did for me. So I was at this bookstore and I'm getting ready to have another event. Outside of Women of Wisdom. And, I like to, look and browse for gifts and stuff like that because I'm just a giver. But anyway, I saw this cup and I was like, "Ooh, I want that cup," but I didn't get it. He said, "What cup?" I'm like, "Ah, he gonna get it for me." So look at this cup. Oh my goodness. It says grace on it. And this was the part that let me turn it around so you can see the part that got my attention. Now, if y'all know me, you already know. Look at that. I'm like, thank you. So anyway, I don't know what you're having tonight, but I hope that you have your beverages with you and that you fill your cup up with lots of wisdom tonight. I am doing ginger tea turmeric. This is my tea that I'm doing tonight, and I put a little extra ginger in my tea because if you listen to some or watch some of the previous videos, you know that ginger is good for fighting infections. So if you feel like you coming down with a cold or something like that, get you some fresh ginger and just grate it up a little bit, put it in your hot uh, water and boil it. And you know me, I'm the honey girl, so add a little honey to it and voila. And you should be feeling better. Okay, tea time. Ooh, ooh. This is good. Mm. Ooh, we might just drink tea all night, huh? Okay, listen. I was talking to one of my sons. He came down to my office and we were just kind of talking and I we got on a good subject and I was like, "Oh, this is going on Tuesday tea time." So our topic for tonight, our wisdom topic is, come on now, taking on other people's problems. And we do that. And so we're going to talk about having wisdom and not allowing yourself to take on other people's problems because sometimes you have to recognize what is actually going on. And we're going to talk about that tonight. So just get yourself ready to receive. All right. So listen, this is the first thing I want to share with you. The first rule of nature is self-preservation. an awareness of the innate tendencies to preserve one's own life. Okay. So when you're dealing with taking on other people's problems, you need to understand that you need to the first law is to preserve yourself. Okay. So sometime, I don't know about you, but I mean, this is an area that I had to learn and I had to grow in. And so do you take on the problems of others and make them your own? Do you do that? Do you ever find yourself feeling tired and overwhelmed after interacting with some people? Now, so you may be inadvertently obs- observing, observe, look at me now, absorbing the energy of those around you. Now, this can make it difficult to uh, determine whether you're dealing with your emotions or are you dealing with their emotions. Come on now. So, if this sounds familiar to you, you may be a sensitive person or you could be empathetic person and you could take on the energy of other people. Now, you know what? I did not realize that I was that type of person, that I could take on the energy of other people because I was just so sensitive. You know, you can pick up other people's problems when you're sensitive and you can think that they're yours. And you got to recognize the difference between what somebody else is, their emotions and your emotions. And sometimes, come on, people can manipulate you into taking on things that don't belong to you. Have you ever been around somebody that's been offended? And they usually try to make you offended. And they'll tell you about their problems and talk about this person. And then the next thing you know, you may not even know this person, but you done took on an offense towards a person that you didn't even know because you're listening to somebody else and they're releasing their emotions and their feelings upon you, and you're taking on their problem and you're making it your own, and now you're offended about something that didn't even have anything to do with you. Come on. Now, do you know, if you go back and listen to some of the previous videos, you know that offense by itself can become bitterness and resentment. And when that happens, it affects your emotions. Did you know that there is, what do they call it? It's a neuron in the brain that kicks into gear, and it causes you to imitate other people's behavior. This kind of stuff is serious issues. That's why you really have to learn how to walk in wisdom and how to guard yourself in life and know how to deal with other people properly. Okay. So, your own self that sometimes, people can be in a good mood. You could be in a bad mood. People could be in a good mood, and all of a sudden they change your atmosphere because their atmosphere is a good atmosphere. And that's what I'm talking about. So we have to be careful that we recognize what's going on around us, and what's going to help us to be able to control this type of thing is when You are aware of yourself. You are aware of your feelings. Now, you know, I got a quote because, you know, I always like to share quotes with you. And this one is in two parts because I couldn't get the whole thing all on one banner. So it says, don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions draw out your own inner voice. Come on, that's powerful. You just, whoa. So the rest of it says, and most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. And but you know what? You gotta know. You gotta know. You gotta be aware of what's you. Who are you? And what's your normal emotions in circumstances and situations? Or are you being moved by somebody else's problems and you're taking on their problems? Now you got their energy instead of protecting your own energy. Now you know that's good. So you know we got to talk about you know, how do we handle stuff like that? Oh, you know what? It's called mirror neuron, and that's in the brain, and it kicks into gear when we are highly sensitive people and we tend to imitate others' moods. Come on now. This stuff is real. So you take the wisdom and follow the wisdom, walk in wisdom, and know how to handle these situations. Because you know what? I was telling my son, you know, a lot of times, yeah, you know, there's a difference between supporting people and trying to fix their problems, you know. And sometimes, you know, we have to learn how not to take on people's problems because then we become a hindrance to their experience to know how to, uh, well, growth, we become a hindrance to their growth and them learning how to walk in wisdom their own selves. And you know, sometimes when we're helping people and we take on their own problems, they become detrimental to us. Come on, living out our own life and prospering. Because you know what? If you're drowning, you can't save somebody else. You got to save yourself. And then once you in a safe place, then you can help somebody else. Don't drown because somebody else is drowning. There's no wisdom in that at all. So let me share with you. I got four things I want to share with you that's going to help you uh, not take on the problems of others. You can support them, but you need to be aware that you are not taking on their energy and drowning your own self. Okay. The first thing I want to share with you is be aware. Be aware. Uh, I had to pay close attention to this my own self because I, you know, I would be around people and, you know, I could pick up stuff from them. And now I'm thinking, I got a problem. And I'm like, wait a minute, I've never had this problem before. What's going on? Why am I feeling this way? And I recognize that this has happened to me before over and over and over again. And I thought that I had a problem. And I didn't even have a problem. I was around somebody else that had a problem. I thought it was my own. So I took on their problem. And, you know, if you are, I had to become aware of myself. okay, wait a minute. And I had to ask my question. I had to ask myself this question, you know, is that me or am I picking up something from somebody else? Now, that is a wisdom question that you need to ask yourself when, you start thinking thoughts that normally are not your thoughts. You could be picking up that stuff from other people, and you got to be careful about that because you could take on that as your own and start having problems your own self. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is name the emotion. I had to learn to identify the emotion, test it, question it, and see if it was common for me or am I picking up feelings from someone else in the atmosphere. So name that emotion and recognize whether or not, hmm, is that normal for me? Three, have strong boundaries. We must know ourselves uh, and what we can and cannot handle. Sometimes you can't handle what other people are going through. We need to sometimes, I'm just going to make it plain to you. Sometimes we just need to simply mind our own business even though that person needed help. I'm going to try to quickly go through this because what came to me is the butterfly and the guy that tried to help the butterfly. He saw him struggling inside of the cocoon and he tried to help him cut the thing open and the butterfly had one wing. Couldn't fly, died. So we have to be careful of helping people because it may be the very thing that causes them to be strong enough to pass the test, to go on to the next level and become the person that they was meant to be. The other thing is stay focused. This one, I like this one. Let me read this to you what I wrote on this one. I like this one. Stay focused. It's easier to keep the energy around us separate when we focus on the experience instead of the feeling. Now, you know that's good. So, put all these things into practice, and they will help you to walk in wisdom, and they will not allow other people to take advantage of you, and you won't allow your emotions to be all over the place, and you're taking on other people's problems and you learn how to put your situation first before somebody else's. The first rule of nature is self-preservation. How about that? Well, I want to thank you for joining us tonight for Tuesday Tea Time. And I want to tell you, as I always do, Dorarena loves you and always do this. Walk in wisdom. All right. You have a good night and watch out for those mirror neurons.